Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Whether you're watching with our friends over at Torah Anytime or wherever you watch or listen to your podcast, as always, we're happy to have you along. And please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Thank you. Helps more people find out about this show. And this is part 2 of our interview with one of the heroes of Shmini Atzeres and what was going on. Certainly an unbelievable interview that people have really been enjoying. And the sponsor for this episode is good friends of myself and of the show, Ellie and Rena Gray, an appreciation of Rabbi Orlofsky. And I also want to take this opportunity to mention that Ellie runs a wonderful service called Marietta Trophy. And I don't know how many of you need trophies, but they're good for just anybody. I remember when I was running NCSY, people like trophies. Everybody likes recognition. They're custom high-quality awards for personal recognition, corporate awards, and sports. So maybe if you have a business, you have some employees who might deserve it. If you're running a sports league or you have any kind of an organization, they're memorable and unique designs and for a wide range of occasions. And wherever you are, you can get these. The website is MariettaTrophy.com. It's going to be right on your screen. And if you mention code Orlofsky24, you'll get a 10% discount to the end of December. Orlofsky24 for a 10% discount. Visit the website MariettaTrophy.com and get that 10% discount. And again, thank you for sponsoring this episode. And I just want to give a shout out to the WhatsApp group. It's right there on your screen, the WhatsApp group that you could join. And there's this is where we get direct information, etc., the fastest way for me to be able to get it out there. And when we didn't have any sponsorships, we reached out to the WhatsApp group, and Baruch Hashem, they came through with 2 sponsorships to be able to make this interview possible. So you might want to think about joining that WhatsApp group. And now part 2 of my interview.
We drove to the closest hospital because they needed it. So when we were on the way there, it's about 25-minute drive. And on the way, there's a story that I can't forget. I remember this guy that was hit, or his leg from an RPG is laying down on the stretcher. And this guy is bleeding from his face, sitting down. And the guy who was shot in his leg was sitting near the driver. And we're driving.
He was in the best shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in great shape, better than me. And we started.
He shot in his leg.
Yeah, but
he recovered.
He recovered. Yeah. There's I don't even remember his name. I don't remember how he looks like. Like, we took that day so many people that were just shot in their leg, and we didn't even have time to really take care of them. Because every person who was like, even when he got to the hospital, hey, hello, what's your name? Great, you're breathing? Okay, wait here on the side till we... Because there's other people that really need... Yeah. Right. So when we were on the way...
But they don't teach you that in Hatzalah. What do you do when you have to do triage? Where like there are 4 people injured, which one do you take? Because Hatzalah doesn't find themselves in those kind of situations.
We do sometimes, but of course, sometimes if you get alone to a car accident with 500 people... But of course, that it's not the same thing because in a few minutes there's already enough people to take care of everyone. But of course, that you always take care first of the guy who has the most chance to survive.
Did you see at any point during the day any army ambulances coming in?
And towards 8-9 o'clock, there were ambulances.
How is that possible? All right.
Nothing. You can't explain anything that day. You can't explain anything that went like it's supposed to or not went like it's not supposed. Just you can't. Even all the soldiers that were fighting at that point, there wasn't it was people that just heard what's happening.
That's what I
so
heard.
they
Is that
just
most
left
of the
their
people,
house and
it
came.
wasn't even an organized response. It's people heard and they just got in their car and ran down with their gun.
Of course. Every person who heard what's going on just took his gun and went into his car and drove down south and started fighting. Just every 3, 4, or 5 people got together and drove to Kfar Aza and started to fight together. Like
I heard
these
the person
three
who was in
guys.
charge was on vacation. And they didn't even wake up Netanyahu.
I don't know, and it doesn't matter.
It would matter to me if there was a war going on and no one bothered telling me. I would get a little touchy if I was in charge.
I understand what you're saying, but I come from a point that it doesn't matter if they're going to wake him up or not wake him up. Everything
This is just Minashamayim.
was supposed to happen. Doesn't matter if someone else was going to be instead of him, or this is what Hashem wants, and we need to see why He wanted this to happen, and continue being strong and doing the right stuff we're supposed to do. And
what's your answer? Why did this happen?
Why not?
Okay. All right. There's one of the more depressing takes I've heard on October 7th. Because we deserved it. Okay? Why this happened? Because we had it coming.
Because why not? Right. Okay. We're just the past few years here we're living, and there's so many people that are not keeping Torah and mitzvos, and there's fighting, and there's so you see that maybe there's a reason we deserve it, but we need to know how to really take it to a good place and not to a bad place.
Starka Musaf from someone who said, "I'm not getting up for Shachris." All right, so you keep going back and forth to Kfar Aza. That was your day.
Yeah, basically.
And you were busy the whole time.
Yeah. And at that point, when we were on the way to the hospital, all of a sudden this guy is laying down on the bed, and we give him IV. He's losing a lot of blood, and I'm stopping the bleeding from the guy who's sitting down, and he's bleeding from his face. And I see he's getting pale, and I decide that he needs to get us whole IV.
When you say IV, you mean a transfusion, like blood?
Not blood. We don't have blood. We're just EMTs.
They don't give you guys blood?
No. We don't have at that point blood, but we could get him ready to get blood and give him till he gets blood. We could give him
plasma.
No, not plasma. They give him in the hospital.
They don't give you anything. What do they give you? Like salt water?
Yeah. Yep.
That's it. You give me the saline. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
It does help if someone's a half hour away from the hospital, and then till he gets blood. It does help.
Keeps something in his body going.
Of course. So that's what we did. I decided we should give him IV. So Emmanuel was trying to find a comfortable way to do it while he's standing and this guy is sitting, and he doesn't have really much room in the ambulance to take care of him. So while he's like finding
with people bleeding everywhere. Yeah,
of course, the whole ambulance is full of garbage and blood and whatever. So he's trying to find this comfortable way to do it, and wasn't the guy that was on the stretcher. He sees that he's like struggling, so he tells him, "You want him to lay down and I should sit." So we look at each other like, "How are you even able to talk? Like, what's going on here?" And he's like, "Hey," he tells us in this word, "Gever, ani lo yeled, ani yoda ma ani oseh." He's like, "Man, I'm not a boy. I know what I'm doing." He just opens his seatbelt, stands up on one foot, picks his friends up, put him on the stretcher, and sits down. And I think that this is a story it's not going to happen in no other army in the world. And they didn't know each other till an hour before when they started fighting together. And I think that the strength when someone's on the way to the hospital without his foot, and he sees what his friend needs, he sees what someone else's need. I think this is this is us. This is who we are.
Now, Emmanuel was the other
EMT that was with me in the ambulance.
And who was driving?
Avi.
Avi's driving.
Another Avi. Yeah.
Right. And where did Emmanuel come from? Because Avi was driving and he met you.
Yeah, he met me by the entrance to Givat Zev after he picked him.
Emmanuel he already picked up Emmanuel. Oh, okay. So did he get the IV in?
Yeah.
And then did they switch places again?
No, they stayed like that till the hospital.
What were the hospitals like?
when we got there was already a bunch of doctors waiting for us outside.
it had to be a madhouse in there.
50, 60 beds were already stretched outside just for like, there's just a line of ambulances. Yeah, that were just
They were just
taking
taking
off
them, putting them down.
civilians and soldiers just coming off. Like every ambulance who comes has 2, 3, 4, or 5 people that are injured, and we just drop them off and continue right away.
I don't think it was like this in any other war.
No.
It was Voma Sudar.
I think that the amount
like there were MASH units, you know what I mean? Like medical units out in the battlefield and things like that. There was nothing here.
Right. It's crazy to understand. I think a good example is also when right after we dropped them off, me and Emmanuel were in the back. We started cleaning the ambulance, and we were trying, like we were about
As
to
you're
leave.
driving.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, someone knocks on our window, and he tells us, the soldier, and he tells us, I was shot in my hand 3 hours ago, and they treat me over here. They took care of me, and I need to get back to my unit. Where are you going to? So we told him, hop in. We'll take you where you need to get to. So he gets on the ambulance, and me and Emmanuel are cleaning in the back, and we start driving. And he says his unit is in Barry. So we start driving towards Barry. And I remember when we were on the way, Shabbos was over. I was looking at the clock because I really, really, really wanted to smoke a cigarette. So at that point...
Yeah, that's what I'm always thinking during these situations.
Yeah, it was really hard. I smoke and
See, I'd be looking for a cup of coffee.
Going through this whole, yeah,
I would be looking for a cigarette.
Yeah, and when we were on the way, all of a sudden he got a phone call from his friend that told him,
Barry's finished.
We left Barry. They need us in the Sderot police station. There's a lot of fire over there. They need us over there. So he told us, listen, could you take me to Sderot? We said, of course. We drove there.
So he's got civilians in an ambulance, and there's a firefight going on in Sderot, and says, could you take me to the firefight?
Yeah.
Does anyone see anything wrong with this picture?
No.
Okay, just asking. Just want to make sure I got this all down.
Yeah, this is who we are, and I think that every split second over there, just every person who was there thought what the best thing he can do to help, and just did it.
Now you were in Sderot in the morning already, so
we knew what's going on over there. We took him straight to the police station.
And was there a firefight going on?
Yeah, right when we got there was his whole unit, these 7-8 guys, were standing behind this car. And they were shooting towards the police station. And
you were driving
from
in.
the police station, they were shooting towards his unit.
You didn't think they might decide to shoot at this ambulance?
So we didn't really know at that point. And we were driving, and we're driving straight there with all our lights on. And his commander starts screaming at us, what are you doing? They're going to shoot you in a second. Like, come into this driveway and turn your lights off. So right away, we turned the lights off. We drove into this small driveway that they shouldn't be able to shoot us. And they start shooting towards us. And we get out of the ambulance. We stand on the other side that we shouldn't get shot. And I told Avi, give me a cigarette.
Give me a cigarette.
And and I think that's really a second. We lit our cigarette and we're smoking. And all of a sudden I tell Avi calls his wife and he tells him that they're okay, and Emmanuel calls his wife, and I smoke a cigarette. And I
didn't think to call anybody.
Yeah, and I tell them, listen, it's like, by the way, it's Simchas Torah today. Hey, we didn't do Kiddush, we didn't have a kafos, we didn't daven.
Yeah, it had kafos.
The
kafos more than 7 times.
Different kind of a kafos. But really, like, all of a sudden we like understood like what we went through that day. And we had like these few minutes to relax. When I say to relax,
I'm saying relax when people are shooting at you.
Yeah, one side of the ambulance and the other side is shooting.
Things are nice and calm now.
Yeah, that's what it was. There was just booming there every second. And all of a sudden, this guy's commander comes to us and he says, listen, there's a police that's dead here in the street from 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. could you help us take him? Like, we can't go because every time someone goes to get him, they start shooting towards us.
So maybe you guys could go because you're not like essential personnel.
That's how it's out. No,
we
he
need
said-
all of the soldiers and policemen, but you guys, see how you do.
No, you said you have the stretcher. Maybe it's going to be much easier to do it with the stretcher because it's much easier.
I would say, here, borrow the stretcher. Let me know how it goes. Oh, wait, here. I've got another stretcher. Don't worry about it. Help yourself.
So he told them, of course, because of course. And they told us, wait 1 second. And just 2 people went behind this car and they started giving
Covering fire.
Yeah, covering fire towards the police station. And we ran with 2 soldiers to this policeman's body. We put him on the stretcher. We ran back. It was 10 seconds, 12 seconds maybe.
Well, you weren't going to take him out in the ambulance.
We put him in the ambulance and we drove right to the entrance of Sderot and we put him near the other soldier we put in the morning.
Who was still there?
Who was still there, of course. All the bodies were taken Sunday, some of them on Monday.
Yeah, I know. My son-in-law went in. There was still plenty of bodies everywhere.
Yeah. And after when we got there, while we were dropping him off, while we were taking him off like the stretcher and putting them over there, then of course another car came with two people who were injured. One of them was shot in the stomach, hiding for 12 hours, till they were able to get to him. And we took him also to United a helicopter who took him to the hospital.
That's all has helicopters?
Yeah, 2 of them. They were the first ones to start taking injured people to the hospital.
You think that the Army
day.
would have some like medical?
Yeah, they did. At that point, at night, there was also.
Yeah, but what about during the
Army
day?
helicopter. You can't ask questions. I have no idea. I don't know.
So
No one knows.
So now it's already what 8:00 at night,
Now it's around eight something. Yeah.
and you take these 2 people.
We take these 2 people out to Tzomet Cheletz, and when we get to Tzomet Cheletz, there was a helicopter, and there's a room in the helicopter for 2 patients. There was 1 soldier that was inside already, and there was room for 1 more. And when we got there, we said, okay, like he's going to the helicopter for sure. He was still conscious, but he needed the helicopter. And while the United doctor comes and checks him to see if he wants to give him medicine, like right before they put him in a helicopter or something, well, then another ambulance comes with a soldier that's unconscious. So I understand that our patient is going to need to go in a regular ambulance. So I say, okay, and the doctor runs to the other ambulance to check the other patient, and he comes to me and he says, Avi, take your patient to the helicopter. So I look at like, you're the doctor, we do what you say, but like, you're sure? So he tells me, of course. I said, like, why? So he says, your patient has much more chances to survive. And that's the decisions we need to make that day. Like, it was the right decision, and it's
How did the
a hard
guy in the
decision.
other ambulance do?
He just
Did he
drove
make
to the
it?
hospital. They're both alive today. But the other guy that went with the ambulance is still in the hospital, and he's still unconscious, but he's still alive. It's a really hard decision that the doctor made, but that's what it was. That's
Right.
what you had to make the decision, and it was the right one.
So you had to drive to the hospital.
No, we no.
You gave it to a different
Our
ambulance.
patient went to the helicopter, and the other ambulance.
But you had 2 in your ambulance.
Yeah, one of them went with the ambulance. One of them was just shot in his hand. So
I guess if you had shot in both your legs and you could run back and forth, then getting shot in your hand is like it's only a day's work.
You could wait here till there's like 4 or 5 of you, and then we'll take an ambulance to take you to the hospital. Cause
It's like a route when you come back from the airport.
yeah, it's like a VIP taxi, you know.
I've been shot. Yeah, we're waiting to fill up. We got room for 3 more, so I'm not going yet. You know, I'm not
That's
going
what
a
it
half full
was.
route.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Unbelievable. So
Crazy.
so now you go back to Sderot?
After this, we drive back to Kfar Aza.
Back to Kfar Aza,
Yeah.
which is still shooting up. And are they still
still
shooting
shooting
in
up.
Sderot?
They're still shooting in Sderot. They're still shooting in Kfar Aza. They're still shooting in Be'eri.
It's ridiculous.
They were hundreds. They just didn't stop coming. I think like through the I try sometimes to think about it a different way, because I say like through this whole day there were over 3,000 terrorists that came in from Gaza, and there were 12,500 people that were killed. It's every two of them killed less than one. It's I saw with how much ammo they came in. Like each one came in to kill at least 30 people. Like if you look at Derech HaTeva, it was supposed to be much more than a few thousand.
Right.
They came in 3,000. Like you can say each one is going to kill 2, 3, at least. They came in with ammo to kill 30, but 2, 3 at least. That's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,000. And it's 1,200. It's the numbers, the Derech HaTeva, they don't get together. Also by the Nova Festival, like I look at it, there was 3,500 people there, all waiting on the Gaza Strip, and there were 350 people killed. It's 1 out of 10.
How is that possible?
It's crazy. If you look at it that way, then you understand that really Hashem was here every single second. Every single bullet knew exactly where it's going to. It's crazy. Also, like the stories people are telling us through the day,
I knew this fellow who came from South Africa, and he was in town when a terrorist attack took place, and he was injured, had shrapnel on him. So people said, "Are you afraid now to live in Israel?" And he says, "No, because I know from South Africa. He was in the South African army. He says every bullet has a name on it, and you know where you're going to go and what's going to be." So
you see, there's 10 friends just running in a field, and some get shot, and some it's.
I don't know how anybody made it out. Like, what? I mean, there were enough terrorists to be able to get them. Especially here in a big open field. I understand you could hide in a garbage can. You could hide over there. You could go into.
But how it was a big
open field. You're in the middle of a field. Where are you supposed to go?
It's crazy. It's 1 out of every 10 was killed. It's Derech HaTeva. It's nothing. It's hard because each one of them has a story and has a family and has a story behind him. Each one was a person. But if you look at the numbers, it was supposed to be so much more.
So you're back to Kfar Aza.
We're back to Kfar Aza at night. We wait there at that point. We see her, and when we get there back, we weren't over there for like 2 hours because we had the whole thing around Sderot until we went to the hospital and left. So at that point, we see that there's so much army already by the entrance, so many jeeps and soldiers that are going in.
You don't think they need you?
We think at that point that they're probably not going to need us over there anymore because we saw also that different ambulances were waiting there. We saw like 3-4 ambulances waiting there. So we continued to...
That's all the ambulances?
Yeah, it's all ambulances.
You guys were the only ones who were there?
Yeah.
Did the government say anything to you guys afterwards?
Yeah.
What did they say?
Why did you... why did you send the helicopters even though you weren't allowed to?
That's what they said.
Yeah.
And they didn't say to you, wow, you got it there first before our ambulances
We're the
did.
only organization that doesn't owe nothing to anyone.
And no one said,
we did the most
wow, you guys deserve citations for bravery and for going out there. And that. They're like,
the soldiers that were there and the civilians that were there who saw us, everyone told us, like, wow, kol hakavod that you're going in. But like people, of course, like private people come and say thank you. And
how could the people in charge not recognize that you were the only ones there? You're the only ambulances there saving people.
Whoever needs to know knows really the truth, and he knows
I understand why. Because otherwise they have to say, how come we didn't send any ambulances and we didn't send any helicopters, and a bunch of schmerels and barrels over here from Hatzalah on Simchas Torah have to come out with their ambulances and go and save everybody.
Right.
Some Haredi ambulance system is the only ones fighting in the south. I see where that might not fit into their narrative.
Right. But yeah, that's what it was. Again, I can't go and ask questions to anyone. I'm
The
not
media
in the
reached out
right
to you
place.
afterwards?
Yeah.
How soon after?
They did this whole big TV show 3 weeks after October 7th. The second they heard
But
that
where
we
is this?
had it's in Uvda. It's a 12 channel.
It wasn't Reshet Aleph or Shtayim or one of the big channels.
Uvda, it's on Reshet 12. It's very, very big. It's like the
Yeah, but
almost...
Shtemesrei, isn't that like the right-wing channel?
No, it's the left.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's the most viewed show in Israel. The show that they did about us. It had 1 million of views, and so many people reached out to us after. Thank you. We were looking for you. Thank you for getting us out. Some called us that we took care of their parents or their brothers or their sisters or their kids. And it did a big Kiddush Hashem.
These are secular people who are interviewing you, and their attitude is kol kavod, or who told you could go there?
Who told me I could go there?
You know what I'm saying? Like there was a guy during the Second Intifada, there was a briefcase filled with explosives that somebody left in Meir Sharm, and it was attached to a phone so that when the phone rang, it would blow up. And the guy happened to notice it. So he pulled out the wire. So when the phone rang,
nothing happened.
Yeah, and I understand he was taken in for tampering with a bomb. Unauthorized tampering with a bomb.
It sounds like something that's going to happen in Israel.
Guys, you know? So these people, at least in the program, they recognize what you guys did.
Yeah. People know
did
that
they
we
use
were
the
really
footage
there.
from the ambulance?
Yeah. It's an amazing. They did something really, really nice. And by today, while I'm trying to get back to work, to the weddings and to the DJ jobs. Besides that, I continue go all over the world, and I try to say our story, because I think it's not only my story. I think it's the whole Am Yisrael story, and I think it's very important that other people should hear it, and know what we went through that day.
So what time did you finish now? This is
we got home at 1 o'clock.
Saturday night.
We got home around 1 o'clock. We left here around 11 something.
Was there anybody in charge who said, "Okay, you guys go now," or this was completely up to you?
It was basically up to us.
It wasn't the Hatzalah people in charge. It wasn't the army.
There was
it was up to you to
Hatzalah
make the decision.
He couldn't stop us to say, "No, stay here. We need you." He knew that when we want to leave, we're just going to leave, because
It's been going nonstop.
Yeah, and we left when we saw that really there's enough ambulances in the areas that needed ambulances. We went home, we took a shower, we went to sleep for 3-4 hours, and we were back south at 7 o'clock in the morning.
And the next day, which this is Sunday now.
Yeah, Sunday we still took a few injured people.
But it wasn't like
it wasn't like the day before. There was a lot
Where
of
were you
army
going into?
already. At that point, we were near the Nova Festival, Be'eri, Kfar Aza.
How bad was Be'eri?
Very bad. Still
but there were no
bodies all
terrorists there
over.
anymore.
They were still fighting, but again, it wasn't like the day before. Like they were hiding, and every few hours, sometimes, like someone jumped out from where he was hiding and started shooting. But there was already a lot of army there, and everything was like.
So you went to the Nova Festival, and there were injured people any place?
Not a lot. Dead. Yeah. At that day, we took 2 or 3 injured civilians that were shot, also from terrorists that came out in Sderot even. Terrorists that were like hiding in this trees or something for a few hours, and just like jumped the day after when they saw a civilian walking there. They just started shooting them. And some soldiers. We were there the whole day. Monday we were giving out food to all the soldiers in Kfar Aza. We went to buy we saw that they didn't have what to eat. So we went and we bought 800.
Even 2 days later, they weren't able to get food for the...
No, it was really,
My
really...
son-in-law said the same thing when he was there. He says
it was really amazing, and we had a really big siyata d'shmaya, because I remember that Sunday we went in the morning, we bought 800 hot meals.
From where?
From a friend that has a store in Yerushalayim. We bought...
Give him a shout out.
His name is Nisim. He doesn't own it. He works it. So
Which store is this?
it's in Atarot. They make food for like yeshivas and stuff like that. It's not like a store that he sells food.
Okay.
So we ordered from him 800 hot meals that were ready the day after, and we took it down to Kfar Aza. And right when we got there, all the soldiers that were in Kfar Aza, that it was 720 something soldiers at that point, they all came out, and 720 new different ones went in.
So who got the food? The one coming out or one coming in?
Out. All the guys that were coming out, they came out. They were just
There's just an ambulance waiting there with exactly enough hot meals.
Exactly. And every single one of them got a hot meal. People told us that they didn't eat hot food from Friday night, from their meal at home on Friday, and like 7 o'clock in the morning Shabbos they left and they didn't have normal food. And they were so happy, and
nobody said yeshiva food. This is what you're giving us.
No, they were really, really happy to eat, and just every single one of them, they came out and they were going on to buses that took them back to their base. So just every single one who went on the bus, we just gave them straight hot food to eat on the way home, on the way to their base, and before they went into Gaza a week later.
You have enough room in an ambulance for 800 hot meals?
Yep. We put it in a lot of boxes.
I guess you could put in 8 wounded people.
Yeah.
You put in 800 meals.
Yeah, he closed it really, really good in boxes.
It was still warm.
Yeah, it was really, really hot still. And there was 800 meals. We bought a lot of drinks and apples and pears, and just gave it all out there, and they were really, really happy. Wednesday we were in Kfar Aza going through all the houses together with the army to take out bodies and to help them with whatever they needed. This first...
How come Hatzalah is still there? Why isn't the army taking over? This is Wednesday now. Why aren't they in charge?
They did take over. It's not that they needed us. I think we were there, so we were just helping. They could have do the same thing, I think, without us. But we were there, so like, why not to help?
So Thursday, Wednesday, though, there's no wounded anymore. Now it's just collecting the dead.
Collecting the dead, and I remember Thursday morning we left the house and we decided we're gonna go. This first soldier we took, the dead soldier we took from Route 34 with his M16.
Yeah, right at the beginning.
Yeah, so he
was still there.
No, we went to be Menachem Aval's family. He was one of the first bodies taken care of, and his levaya was already Tuesday.
He lived where?
He lived in Rishon LeZion, I think it was.
So what was he doing in Sderot?
He left his house the second he heard something's going on.
And
he was on the way to his base. And we sat with his wife and with his parents. He was 20 years old. He was married for three months. His wife was pregnant. She just had a small baby boy a few months ago. They gave us this whole really nice book that they put out about him. His name is Amit. And today we understand why we had that feeling that we can't leave him.
We found him. We didn't want to leave him. We took him out.
Yeah, I told the family were very, very happy that we did it. And they started telling us stories about him, and that I think that's why we all of a sudden understood why we had that feeling that we can't leave him there. He was really like a very big tzaddik. He used to wake up every Shabbos for nights and go daven, He was a really, really special
He was
guy.
a firm guy.
He was a firm guy, and
You didn't know that when you saw
we
him.
didn't know that. And really, after they told the stories, we understand why we had that feeling that second that we can't leave him there. And till today, like, he was the first body that was taken care of already at 12 o'clock. There was people a few meters from him that were in the same position till Monday morning even. So really, he was the first guy to be taken care of, and
with that kind of heat, it's probably not good for the body.
it's not good at all. Yeah.
I mean, by the kind of time you came around to start collecting on Monday and Tuesday, I mean, it must have been.
It was it was bad already. The main roads, there was already people that took Sunday, Monday. Sunday and Monday they took from all the like main roads and big places, and Barry was Tuesday. Kfar Aza was only Wednesday. Was the last places. Was the last
place going on.
Yeah, till Wednesday. No one was allowed to go in to get bodies yet. Even like all the
fighting stopped Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday afternoon already. Everything was basically finished there. Yeah, and then Thursday we went to be Menachem Avel.
So that was it. You didn't have to go back down anymore on Thursday. Yeah.
No, from then but Matzei Shabbos we went north.
So this whole day when you're running back and forth, you didn't run out of equipment?
The truth is that United Tzala sent already 10 o'clock in the morning, 10:30 about, arrived by Tzomet Cheletz, 2 very big trucks full of trauma kits, IVs, just everything.
Hatzola is the one sending the medical supplies.
Yeah, and every time we went back to Tzomet Cheletz, we took with us a few boxes of equipment, and we gave them to soldiers by the entrance to Kfar Aza or doctors that were going in to treat
And you were the only
people.
ones with medical equipment. There was nobody else around.
Yeah, basically.
All right, so by Wednesday, you're all done. Oh, so Motzi Shabbos, you said. You went back.
Yeah, Matzei Shabbos, we went north. We thought that something's going to happen over there.
But it didn't.
It did start. We did take 2 soldiers that were injured over there. But it was not much. We were there like for 4 or 5 days, but they didn't really need us there.
We're up north.
We were on the border. Basically, we said hello to Hezbollah.
Well, you should have been saying goodbye because
yeah,
you could have just paged them. You know what I mean? Like,
but yeah, that's what it was. And the week after, we started getting back to work and try to get back to ourselves.
So, I mean, how do you get over something like this?
You don't.
Do they offer you some kind of like?
Yeah, of course. That's all I think. Has
crisis management, therapy, something.
They do. They give you everything you need. Therapy. Every person who's there needs therapy. I always say that if I wasn't gonna believe in Hashem, I was gonna jump out the window Sunday morning. You can't see what you see and wake up the same thing in the morning.
In other words, besides the injured people who are bleeding all over the place, you're driving past hundreds of dead bodies.
Yeah.
The
whole day back and forth. Yeah.
And they just started shooting up all the cars and everything. The people were driving.
That's what they did. That's what they came to do. They came to kill us. But we're still here.
It's interesting because Be'eri is secular. Kfar Aza is secular. What were the other places that were hit very bad?
Those were the 2 most bad places. It was all different. There was army bases that were really bad. Nachalos, Mefalsim.
Because I don't know where there was. My son-in-law said that when he was, they sent him in to collect the bodies, and he said, normally I'm on the battlefield. And I'm collecting the people who got killed on the battlefield. That's my job. And he says, okay, so you're dealing with soldiers and you're in wartime. He says, but here I'm walking into a house and the table is set for Shabbos. You know what I mean? And you see everything all set up and it's Shabbos Yontif and everybody's dead.
Yeah. That's what it was. You see houses that family, like the whole family's dead and the sukkah is still outside. It was right after Sukkot. It's pictures that you can't forget. It's stuff that you go to sleep with them till today and wake with them. You wake up in the morning with those pictures. It doesn't leave you. You can't forget them. But I always feel that like Hashem gives us the strength to be there and do what we did, then he also gives us the strength to continue and be good on what we're doing. It's not easy stuff. It's even me before that I saw hard stuff. I did CPR on my friend's baby on the Shabbos table near the Chalas. It's pictures you can't forget.
Somebody
I was
told
in
me.
Meron. I did their CPR on 4 people. It's
Somebody told me if you
it's
do
pictures
CPR,
you can't forget. It's
if you do CPR right, you end up breaking the ribs. So you can't really
sometimes.
do CPR unless you break the ribs because you have to.
No,
push
it's
hard.
not. It's not right. The right way to do CPR is to stop a second, millimeter before you break the ribs. But almost every CPR you break ribs. It's part of doing CPR. It happens a lot. But it happens. And the stuff you see as an EMT, it's not easy stuff. It's and it's stuff also that built you on. But October 7th was different. I think also the way that people were shot and the way everything, and also the amount of people.
What do you mean the way they were shot?
It's the terrorists. Almost everyone after they shot them, they just pulled them out of the car. You
Why?
should see that something.
What was the?
I don't know why they did it, but when you come and see it like that, when you come and near every single car, you see 2-3 bodies. It's a much harder scene. I believe some of them they wanted to kidnap. I don't know. I don't want to think like they were thinking that day.
I definitely heard there were stories of where they, after they killed them, they mutilated the bodies.
Right.
You saw some of that too?
Not in my eyes, but I saw a lot of burnt bodies. I saw it's pictures you can. I have good friends that saw. I heard from firsthand, not from.
They were burning down houses. You mentioned.
Right.
So you saw any of these houses like being burned?
Of course.
Down? Yeah.
Of course, you have nothing to do at that point. There's this house is burning for a few hours already. You know that there's no one to save. You don't have time to start trying to turn this fire off and trying to look for people because at this time you could go save
I
others.
know, the safe rooms don't sound like they were too safe.
What they did, the mamad is basically, it's built for if a missile falls near you, then you are going to stay safe. It does that very well. But if a terrorist comes, there's no lock on the mamad. You just close the door very hard and that's it. So if a terrorist comes and just opens the door and comes in, that's a mamad is not going to help much. And that's what they did because they all got there. So some people were able to really lock their mamadim. But what the terrorists did, if it was locked and they weren't able to open it, they just started burning it from the outside. So the second they started burning it, people had they couldn't breathe. So they opened the window a tiny bit. And the second they opened the window, then the terrorists come in from the window. So that's what it was.
Have you gone back to these communities?
Yeah, I go a lot to speak. A lot of times I want to go back to these places to speak.
Like since this whole thing is over, have you gone to Be'eri?
Yeah. I remember about 3 weeks after October 7th, I was on the way to army base. I was on the way to a few soldiers before they were going into Gaza. I was with all my DJ equipment. We were on the way. We did for them. We wanted to make supper for them to make them a little happy before they go into Gaza. So I'm driving. I'm alone in my car with music. My car is full of equipment. And all of a sudden I find myself on one of the roads I was driving 3 weeks before. And all of a sudden, like, everything came back to me. It's the first time I cried after something I saw, because of something I saw. I just stopped on the side and I was crying like a baby for an hour. But I feel that it helped me so much. It let a lot out of me. So after we went to the base, I felt that it did so good for me. So I drove back from there, and of course nothing happened. But
and Kfar Aza you've gone back to?
Kfar Aza I gone back to, and Bari. I was there. I go a lot to speak for all different people who come to Israel and want to hear. So a lot of times they go to Kfar Aza and to where
people are still living in Kfar Aza?
Now, no. Now,
Kfar
no.
Aza is empty.
Is
and
empty.
so is Be'eri.
Right. But there's a lot of people that want to see what we went through and want to see what happened. So a lot of people, groups or whatever that come here. So I go with them back there and I show them what we went through, where we drove.
You take groups.
Yeah. And I think it's part of my schos to say over our story. I see the impact it gives to people, and I see what it does to people, that all of a sudden they understand what we went through that day. So I think I have to
understand it.
I think that even if we speak here for another year, I'm not going to be able to.
I can't wrap my head
to
around
really
it.
explain the smell over there and the pictures that you see. It's stuff you can't explain. You just can't. But you could give your feelings
I'm trying to
over.
also picture this hostage caravan that they're taking away down there. I don't know. Nobody saw it. The soldiers or anything like that to try to intervene.
Every single person there that was working alone. There was nothing that was
no coordination.
No coordination. Everyone came and just did what he thought the right thing to do is. Till 10 o'clock at night, that then slowly commanders came and people started working together. But till then, just every single person just went and did what he thought the right thing is. There's so many people that did so many big things. And I think that also was something that the terrorists that came in weren't ready for. That the second they're going to come in, just every person who has a gun at home and heard what's happening drove there, and they weren't ready for that. And I think that's the story of Am Yisrael.
I don't know.
That's who we are.
It seems to me that if some guy's coming at me with a gun and I've got an RPG, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be so afraid of him.
You are,
unless he's a sharpshooter. You know. The missiles were unbelievable. I was here in Har Novo. We see all the missiles coming. My kids live in Beit Shemesh. They happen to have been Ramat Beit Shemesh. They happen to be by me for Yontif, but a missile fell right on their street.
Yeah, it's something that you're not prepared for. You're not ready for it, and that's why it's maybe even a little more scary because of that. But today what we're going through is not much better, like there's missiles every single day, hundreds of them. But now we wake up in the morning and we know it's going to happen, so it's not that scary, I guess. Of course it's different because then there were terrorists running between us. But I think that we need to say thank you that we're here and continue doing good stuff.
So now you're back to your regular Hatzalah calls, dealing with broken legs and cut fingers and and how's the ambulance?
Working hard.
No, I'm saying they were able to fix it up after you smashed through the gate. And have all the mess in the back and everything. They were able to clean it up.
I think they're gonna give Avi the driver a new one. They just got 30 new ones. I think he's one of the people that are gonna get a new one too. When he goes on this next shift, they're gonna let him have one of the new ones.
Yeah. I'm a lot more hesitant now to go in an ambulance when I hear about what goes on in them. To have to be there. All right, so that's the message. The message is that every single person has an opportunity where they have to make a decision if they're going to stand up, and there's nobody to tell you.
We're all going to stand up. Each one has his different way to do that.
Yeah.
Mine is an ambulance. Other people's are to daven. Other people's are to go down with their gun and shoot terrorists. And each one has his way of doing his thing.
I'm thinking of all the other ambulances that did not go in, that was standing there till 3:00, because I mean, you just decided to break the rules.
Well, if we were gonna get shot, then they were gonna be very happy that they.
So it ended
that they
well.
stayed there.
They got killed. We were right.
We did right. So
each time you came back, they were like, "Darn it, they're still okay."
No, they were happy to see us.
No, because listen, everybody has to make that decision, right? B'shas Maisa.
It's a hard decision.
They made the right decision.
Right.
You made the wrong decision.
There's still people that...
You were irresponsible. You were reckless.
Right.
They were smart.
One of the
dispatcher told them, do not go into a war zone. You're just a bunch of Haredi guys who drive in an ambulance. You have no idea what you're doing. And you were like,
No, because it's real.
I played some pretty tough gigs as a DJ, okay? So
no, really, like the first thing you learned in an EMT course is, first of all, use your safety. When you get to a car accident, if it's not safety for you to get out of your car and take care of the injured people over there, then wait in your car till a police car comes and stops the cars from zooming on 100 miles per hour. Because if you're going to get hit while you're treating someone else, it's not worth it. And it's correct. It's the right way to think. You can't think other ways.
Have you flown anywhere before?
What?
Have you flown anywhere?
Yeah, I went to Paris to speak. And I'm coming to the U.S. November, hopefully.
Parlez-vous français?
No, in English. December, I'm going to London. And yeah, I'm happy, and it does good also for me to go speak. Because
when you're on an airplane, the first thing they tell you is if you're traveling with another passenger, always put on your mask first before putting on the person accompanying you. Because if you pass out, you're not going to do them any good. So that's why when you go to a scene of an accident, the first thing you have to do is, my son-in-law tells me, I say, like some truck gets blown up and there's, he's got to go in there, collect the bodies. And I said, you're going into Gaza to collect the bodies from this truck that got blown up. Aren't you afraid they're going to start shooting at you? And he says, before they bring us in, they build a perimeter around the scene. They put up things, and then they secure the area before we go in, because we're just there to collect the dead. We're not,
Right.
And in fact, when he went to El Shifa Hospital, he said the elite troops who were there, they said, your job's harder than ours, because you got to go and
I have a really, really good friend that his brother was killed on October 7th. And one day I was talking to him for a few hours, and he was telling me that it's so hard to lose his brother. And I told him, and all of a sudden he says, hey, what you went through, I can't do that. And all of a sudden I realized that if I was going to go what he's going through, I was going to jump off the roof.
Right.
So each one has his nisyanos and his way to go through his hard stuff that he's going through. And each one has the right way and has a good way. And each one goes through it a different way.
I'm trying to picture the guy shot in both legs, hiding behind the garbage can, listening to the Hamas terrorists talking on their phones, and then runs to the gate, collapses.
I'll show you the video.
And then you say, sorry, can't help you now. Come back later. And he's like, no problem. And he runs
He didn't say no problem, but we told him we're really, really sorry, but we promise you we're going to come back. So he just stands back up while he was laying down on the floor. So he just stands back up and he runs back.
I can't understand that.
I also can't, but that's what it was.
Well, I can't understand what you were doing either. So I have a general policy that I try to stay out of war zones because I'm not very talented when it comes to these kind of things. When I first came to Israel, so after 3 years, they were supposed to call you up to draft you, and they didn't call me. So I went down and I said, I've been here for 3 years. I'm waiting for my call up to the Army. And they said, please go home. And I said, no, I want to serve my country. They said, you don't have the military profile that you can help anybody. You would make a fine victim, but you're not really in a position to help anybody. Just go home, I said, but you could put me in the educational corps. I could do that, give classes like that. And they were like, yeah, go home. Don't hurt yourself on the way out. You know what I mean? So, but you see people who go into these kind of situations. And like I say, some, in many times, the medics are in the worst position because like they're wearing this like white helmet with a big red, symbol on it. And like, that makes a great target, and medics are very often the ones being picked off, So, kol kavod.
He was telling us, so the whole day we felt that there was a mamish, amud anan around us. It's not... Today, sometimes I tell my story to people and they say like, how are you alive? And I say, hey, that's a good question. I don't know. And it's really what we felt that day, that Hashem was with us and he knew exactly, he was our guide that day. And we had the schus to help other people that needed our help that day. We had the schus to be part of this day that we're going to never forget.
It's an amazing thing. You hear this from a lot of different people, Holocaust survivors, and you say, how did you survive that? Like what you were going through. You can't understand it. You can't explain it.
You can't.
And I remember I asked Rabbi Orlofsky Zatzal, who was the Rav, youngest Rav, New Hyde Park for many years. And I said, how come during World War II, like you guys weren't demonstrating in the streets? And the next thing he says, you don't understand. You weren't there. You don't understand. He says the number one radio show in America was his father Conklin, who just had a whole hour of anti-Semitic rants. You know what I mean? He says, you never walked into a neighborhood where it said no Jews allowed. You never saw, buildings where it said no Jews allowed, because we were scared for ourselves. You don't understand, And there's a lot of things that we live today where we just don't understand, And that's why these people who like take down statues of the American founders they had slaves. I said, everybody had slaves. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? And, you think you're so much smarter because you lived in a different time, And so people never know what they'll do in a situation until they find themselves there. And then you have to make that decision, And sometimes it's the right decision, sometimes it's the wrong decision. You just don't know. You have no choice. On a much simpler level, I was once in a Shabbaton, and I was the only rabbinic figure there. And, I have a yara smicha, which means when somebody shows me a shaila on their tefillin, I said, put it in a pot of chicken soup and I'll tell you what to do with it. Because I that's all I really know, Anyway, there was a psul in the Sefer Torah. We weren't sure if it was good or not. And I had to paskin. I had no idea. So I did the best that I could. Turned out I was right, Baruch Hashem. But sometimes you find yourself in a situation, you're the only one there, and you have to figure out how you're going to handle the situation. So your moment came, and you stood up, and you stood up to the challenge, and that's it. No one can ever take that away from you, and I can only pray to God that you never find yourself having to make those kind of decisions again. Although if you're in Hatzalah, I guess you're constantly being faced with life and death decisions.
Yeah, could be tomorrow going to be by the Beis Hamikdash.
Yeah,
I'll come with my DJ.
Yeah. And I'll still have trouble walking up the steps.
I'll help you.
No stretches, okay? Because I don't know where they've been. Kol kavod. Well, thank you so much. This has been unbelievable insight for those of us who have only been reading news stories and have no idea what was actually going on in that day. And even you only see it from a perspective like, to get the full picture, it's almost impossible. You have to speak to 100 people to try to get an idea of what was going on all over the place. But kol kavod, and Mitzvah Hashem, we should never find ourselves in that kind of situation again. So that's it for this week. If you want to find out more about the show, you can go to my website, RabbiOrlofsky.com. You can leave a comment. You can ask a question. You can sponsor an episode. Please, we need sponsors. You can sponsor a question and answer. You can sign up for one of our online shiurim. And that's it for this episode. Until next time, I am Dovid Orlofsky.
And I am Avi Yudkowsky.
And this has been the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.
It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Knowledge and wisdom will help you grow. Lots of fun in every episode. And we don't have to rhyme. No, we don't. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show on RabbiOrlofsky.com. Torah, anytime, YouTube and more. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Torah and Simcha, ready to go. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. Till next time, till we meet again. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show. It's the Rabbi Orlofsky Show.